These are the 5 most indisputable fan theories of 2013. Everyone ready? Here we go. First up is Breaking Bad, but don't worry, people who for some reason still haven't finished the show, there are no spoilers here. A popular joke online this year was that Breaking Bad would turn out to be a prequel to Malcolm in the Middle, with Walt eventually going into witness protection and becoming Hal, and the joke got so popular that Breaking Bad actually brought in Jane Kaczmarek and shot it as a DVD extra. And sure, that's fun to talk about, but logistically, it doesn't really hold. I mean, the timeline problems alone. But what if Hal isn't a grown-up Walt, but instead Walt is a grown-up Malcolm? Not only does it make sense that Malcolm would grow up to look like Walt, they actually have a lot in common. They're both geniuses, they're both stubborn, and they both look down on humanity.
You guys are stupid!
Plus, they both hang out with dudes in wheelchairs. Case closed, on to the next one. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory always had dark undertones, but 2013 was the year fans finally caught Wonka red-handed. Augustus Gloop's tumble into the river was supposedly an accident, but if it wasn't planned, then why does the crazy boat only have exactly enough seats for the kids who are left? Okay, you're thinking one of the kids would have just stood on the boat, but then what was Wonka's plan for this leg of the tour if more than 4 people were still alive? He didn't have one because he knew the kids were going to die. Let's see Tim Burton try to out-creepy that. You probably remember that Grease is a sporadically vulgar musical about high schoolers from different worlds, but what you might have forgot is that right before the movie ends, without warning, this car takes flight and soars into the sky. Now we know from an earlier musical number that Grease Lightning is a pretty special car, but there is nothing in the movie that explains this. Until now. Remember earlier in the movie when Danny was singing about Sandy and how he saved her life and how she nearly drowned? Well, what if Sandy did drown and the whole movie was her dying fantasy, and in the end, that's her flying up to heaven? Why would she fantasize about all the surprisingly dark stuff that Grease gets into? I don't know, but there really is a flying car at the end of that movie, and this is the most plausible explanation for it I have ever heard. King of the Hill never acted like a show that was keeping secrets, but maybe that's just because they were so good at it. The Hank and Bobby father-son relationship was the core of the show for over 11 years, but what if Hank wasn't Bobby's real father? What if Bobby's real father was Bill? Think about it. Hank and Peggy were told they never get pregnant because of Hank's narrow urethra. Bill is obsessed with Peggy, and Peggy can't stand being around Bill, maybe because of something that happened between them in the past. Plus, don't forget that Bill passes the dough tree family recipe on to Bobby, and Bill once joked,
"In a moment of weakness on a dark, rainy night, I slept with Peggy."
though Hank called him out on it.
No, you didn't, Bill.
I know.
And of course, you cannot talk about the fan theories of 2013 without bringing up the unified Pixar universe that puts all of the company's films on one cohesive timeline. It is way too complicated to get into here, but the gist of it is that ancient magics gave both animals and inanimate objects personalities. The objects drove humans from Earth, and then the animals evolve and get more complicated because of radiation from the machines, and then eventually they become monsters. Again, this is just a summary. There is so much good stuff I'm leaving out, like the fact that the Witch from Brave is a grown-up version of a time-traveling boost, so I encourage you to read more at the link in the description. I know it all sounds crazy, but keep in mind that this thing got so popular that when you go to Google and type in Pixar, the Pixar Theory is the first suggestion. So it must be true, or at least as true as any of these. But what does true even mean when we're discussing fictional characters? I don't know. Go ask an English teacher. Maybe if you show them this video, they'll let you watch Breaking Bad in class. That'd be cool.